Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking this incredibly profound, deeply concentrated philosophical text, and we're just going to peel it back layer by layer. Now, it's a super short piece of writing, but let me tell you, it packs an absolute punch about who we are and how we actually interact with the world around us. So we're going to break down exactly what this source material is trying to tell us about the very foundation of human existence. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this with a question. How much can you truly say without uttering a single word? Seriously, think about it. In our modern, relentlessly noisy world, we almost always equate communication with talking, right? With making physical sounds. But our source text challenges that assumption right out of the gate, asking us to consider the sheer weight and gravity of absolute silence as our starting point. The source material opens with this striking, almost poetic verse: "Silence speaks volumes. Without uttering a word, nothing is unsaid." Let's actually break that down phrase by phrase. Silence speaks volumes implies right away that the absence of noise isn't empty, it's incredibly dense, it's heavy with meaning. Without uttering a word just completely removes the physical act of human speech from the equation. And then the finale, "Nothing is unsaid." Just let that sit with you for a second. It's a profound paradox, really. By choosing to say nothing at all, absolutely everything that matters is still being completely communicated. And this brilliantly illustrates the core paradox of the text. Silence is positioned here not as some empty void. It isn't just a lack of sound, and it's certainly not a failure to communicate. It's like, think about a shared knowing glance with a really good friend. When you strip away all of the noise and the endless chatter, the fundamental truth of that situation, or a feeling or a state of being, it remains completely intact. It's fully expressed. The text is literally presenting silence as a complete, full form of communication all on its own. Well, that brings us right to the second layer of our philosophical onion. The text seamlessly shifts from this concept of silence to the concept of presence, and it defines this by stating, "One who understands the true nature of being beneficially impacts all that he or she encounters." Now notice the fascinating mechanism at play here. It explicitly links a purely internal understanding, just grasping the true nature of your own being, directly to an automatic beneficial ripple effect on everyone and everything around you. Let's put this into a practical context for your everyday interactions, because this is a real game changer. Usually, we think of having an impact as being strictly action-based. You want to help someone, you perform an action. You give advice, you lend a hand, you fix a problem. But the text proposes being-based presence. The idea here is that simply existing with this deep presence fundamentally alters the world around you. Your mere presence, grounded in understanding, literally becomes the catalyst for beneficial impact, long before a single action is ever taken. Now, what's really interesting about this next part is how it turns conventional morality completely upside down. The text states, "The greatest good that you can do for other is to know thyself." It's incredibly counterintuitive, isn't it? I mean, we are generally taught from day one that doing good requires focusing all our energy outwardly on other people. Yet the source material explicitly asserts that the absolute greatest good you can provide for someone else actually stems from focusing your energy completely inward. Let's do a quick microanalysis of this specific claim. On one hand, we have doing good, those external actions we traditionally take to improve the world. On the other hand, we have knowing thyself, pure internal realization. Now, the text doesn't explicitly say external actions are bad, obviously not, but it does establish a firm, undeniable hierarchy. The duty to know thyself is presented as the absolute non-negotiable foundation. Without that deep internal realization, any external action is entirely secondary. According to the text, your primary contribution to society is literally just your own self-awareness. But hold on, what kind of knowing are we actually talking about here? The source material makes a really critical distinction that we have to understand. It explicitly states, this understanding is knowing via being. It is not knowing via thinking. This means the deep understanding required to positively impact the world isn't some intellectual exercise of the mind. You can't just read a textbook and instantly achieve it. It's a profound, lived, embodied state. You don't think your way to this truth. You essentially just are it. Let's take a step back and see how this builds into a beautifully clear, logical progression of self-realization, drawn straight from the text. First off, we have to embrace the full communication of silence. Second, from that silence, we begin to understand the true nature of being. Third, this internal understanding leads us to fully know thyself. And fourth, which we're about to uncover right now, is the ultimate revelation of what that self actually consists of.
It's this incredible structured path mapped right out of just a few profound sentences. Which brings us to the absolute climax of this explainer. If the greatest good is to know yourself, and this knowing is an act of pure being, what exactly is this true nature you're supposed to be? What is sitting there at the absolute core of your identity when you strip away the noise, the overthinking, and all those external actions? Take a moment to truly reflect on that. What is your core identity?
So the crucial point is this. The text answers this massive, profound question plainly, powerfully, and totally unequivocally. You are love. Notice it doesn't say that you have love or that you do loving things. It says that your fundamental true nature, the very being you discover when you deeply know yourself, is love itself. It's a massive, incredibly grounding conclusion that shifts absolutely everything we've talked about so far into a totally new light.
Let's look closely at the full final sentence of our source text. Know that you are love and that it is the nature of love to love. You are that. This right here is the engine behind that beneficial impact we discussed earlier. If you truly know thyself and realize you are essentially love, then expressing it beneficially isn't a chore. It's not some forced external action you have to plan out. Because the text tells us it is the nature of love to love, spreading that beneficial impact just becomes your natural, effortless, default state of being. You radiate it simply by existing. Because, as the text concludes, you are that. We have taken such a fascinating internal journey today, drawn entirely from a few incredibly dense lines of text. We started with the immense power of a silence, where absolutely nothing is left unsaid. We moved through the profound understanding that our sheer presence beneficially impacts others. We realized that creating this impact demands we know thyself, not through overthinking, but through pure being. And finally, we uncovered that this true core being is literally love. So I want to leave you with one final thought to take with you as you step back into a very noisy world. If your true, fundamental nature is love, what will your silence say today?